Chapter 22. A man called Ove and someone in a garage. Ove and the cat sit in silence in the sub outside the hospital. "Stop looking at me as if this is my fault," says Ove to the cat. The cat looks back at him as if it isn't angry but disappointed. It wasn't really the plan that he would be sitting outside this hospital again. He hates hospitals, after all, and now he's bloody been here 3 times in less than a week. It's not right and proper, but no other choice was available to him, because today went to pot from the very beginning. It started with Ove and the cat during their daily inspection, when they discovered that the sign forbidding vehicular traffic within the residential area had been run over. This inspired such colorful profanities from Ove that the cat looked quite embarrassed. Ove marched off in fury and emerged moments later with his snow shovel. Then he stopped, looking towards Anita and Rune's house. His jaws clamped so hard that they made a creaking sound. The cat looked at him accusingly. "It's not my fault the old sod went and got old," he said more firmly. When the cat didn't seem to find this to be in any way an acceptable explanation, Ove pointed at it with the snow shovel. "You think this is the first time I've had a run-in with the council? That decision about Rune, do you think they've actually come to a real conclusion about it? They never will. It'll go to appeal and then they'll drag it out and put it through their shitty bureaucratic grind. You understand? You think it'll happen quickly, but it takes months, years. You think I'm going to stick around here just because that old sod went all helpless?" The cat didn't answer. "You don't understand. Understand?" Ove hissed and turned round. He felt the cat's eyes on his back as he marched inside. That is not the reason why Ove and the cat are sitting in the sub in the parking area outside the hospital. But it does have a fairly direct connection with Ove standing there shoveling snow when that journalist woman in her slightly too large green jacket turned up outside his house. "Ove?" she asked behind him, as if she was concerned that he may have changed his identity since she last came here to disturb him. Ove continued shoveling without any way acknowledging her presence. "I only want to ask you a few questions." She tried. "Ask them somewhere else. I don't want them here," Ove answered, scattering snow about him in a way that made it difficult to tell whether he was shoveling or digging. "But I only want," she said, but she was interrupted by Ove and the cat going into the house and slamming the door in her face. Ove and the cat squatted in the hall and waited for her to leave. But she didn't leave. She started banging on the door and calling out, "But you are a hero!" "She is absolutely psychotic, that woman," said Ove to the cat. The cat didn't disagree. When she carried on banging and shouting even louder, Ove didn't know what to do. So he threw the door open and put his finger over his mouth, hushing her up, as if in the next moment he was going to point out that this was actually a library. She attempted to grin up at his face, waving something that Ove instinctively perceived as a camera of some sort. or something else. It wasn't so easy knowing that cameras looked like anymore in this bloody society. Then she tried to step into his hole. Maybe she shouldn't have done that. Ove raised his big hand and pushed her back over the threshold as a reflex, so that she almost fell headfirst into the snow. I don't want anything, said Ove. She regained her balance and waved the camera at him, while yelling something. Ove wasn't listening. He looked at the camera as if it were a weapon, and then decided to flee. This person was clearly not a reasonable person. So the cat and Ove stepped out of the door, locked it, and headed off as quick as they could toward the parking area. The journalist woman jogged along behind them. To be absolutely clear about it, though, no part of this bears any relation to why Ove is now sitting outside the hospital. But when Pavane stood knocking on the door of Ove's house, 15 minutes or so later, holding her 3-year-old by the hand, and when no one opened and then she heard voices from the parking area. This, so to speak, has a good deal to do with Ove sitting outside the hospital. Pavane and the child came round the corner of the parking area and saw Ove standing outside his closed garage door with his hands sullenly shoved into his pockets. The cat was sitting at his feet looking guilty. What are you doing? Said Pavane. Nothing, said Ove defensively. Some knocking sounds were coming from the inside of the garage door. What was that? Said Pavane, staring at it with surprise. Ove suddenly seemed extremely increased in a particular section of the asphalt under one of his shoes. The cat looked a bit as if it was about to start whistling and trying to walk away. Another knock came from the inside of the garage door. Hello, said Pavane. Hello, answered the garage door. Pavane's eyes widened. Christ, have you locked someone in the garage, Ove? Ove didn't answer. Pavane shook him as if trying to dislodge some coconuts. Ove? Yes, but I didn't do it on purpose, for God's sake, he muttered and wiggled out of her grip. Pavane shook her head. Not on purpose? No, not on purpose, said Ove, as if this should wrap up the discussion. When he noticed that Pavane was obviously expecting some sort of clarification, he scratched his head and sighed. Well, she's one of those journalist people. It wasn't bloody me who locked her in. I was going to lock myself and the cat in there. But then she followed us, and, things took their course. Pavane started massaging her temples. I can't deal with this. Naughty, said the 3-year-old and shook her finger at Ove. Hello, said the garage door. There's no one here, Ove hissed back. But I can hear you, said the garage door. Ove sighed and looked despondently at Pavane, as if he was about to exclaim, You hear that? Even garage doors are talking to me these days. Pavane waved him aside, walked up to the door, leaned her face up close and knocked tentatively. The door knocked back, as if it expected to communicate by Morse code from now on. Pavane cleared her throat. Why do you want to talk to Ove? She said, relying on the conversational alphabet. He's a hero. What? Okay, sorry. So, my name is Lena. I work at the local newspaper and I want to interview Pavane looks at Ove in shock. What does she mean, a hero? She's just prattling on, Ove protested. He saved a man's life. He'd fallen on the track, yelled the garage door. Are you sure you've got the right Ove? Said Pavane. Ove looked insulted. I see, so now it's out of the question that I could be a hero, is it? He muttered.